So unless we're able to make significant inroads in all of these points that I just mentioned, we're going to see South African households continue to suffer and continue getting poorer over the medium term.
Poverty levels are rising in South Africa, while at the same time, the price of essential food items continues to soar. Here to discuss the poverty levels in the country and the impact of government's policies on the crisis is CRA analyst Gerbrandt van Heerden. Gerrie, could you please begin by explaining to us the extent of the poverty crisis in the country and what the data trends show us?
So poor South African households are currently experiencing enormous pressure, especially when we look at what is happening to food prices in the country. Now, the Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group released their September report, which tracked number of core food items in the average household food basket of low-income households. And some of these food items include bologna, chicken, potatoes, fish, all food items that are usually bought by low-income households. And what the report found, the September report, was that the average household food basket of September 2021 amounted to 4,200 Rand. That's a 9% increase from the previous year when the average household food basket was 3,900 Rand in September 2020. And all of these food items that I mentioned, bologna, fish, beef, potatoes, they've seen their prices increase significantly year on year. Another scary picture is the fact that South Africans are just not earning enough to even meet their most basic nutritional needs. So let's, for example, take the maximum national minimum wage of 3,600 Rand per month. That 3,600 Rand does not only support the worker, but it also supports his or her entire household usually. And the average poor household size, according to the Justice and Dignity Group, is around 4 or 5 people within a household. And when you subtract other essentials, such as transport and electricity, from that national minimum wage, you end up with an amount of 1,600 Rand that then needs to be divided amongst 4 or 5 people, which then eventually you end up with 380 Rand per person to buy food. And that 380 Rand to buy food is far below the food poverty line of status A, which stands at around 620 Rand. Now, according to status A, 620 Rand is the minimum amount that you need to spend per month in order for you to meet your daily per capita, per person nutritional needs. And so a lot of South Africans are currently not earning enough to even meet half of their nutritional needs. So there is definitely an emerging food crisis in the country.
Enjoying this analysis? Click here to sign up for our 30-day free trial for more content from the CIA.
And Gerrie, what are the measures that the government currently has in place to address this crisis? And are these measures even adequate to address it?
So what the government essentially is doing at the moment is they're basically trying to plug the gaps or put plasters over large cracks in the wall. What I'm trying to say is that the government actually has no efficient plan or effective plan to really deal with the poverty crisis that we're seeing in the country. The government's main strategy is just to expand the already large welfare system that we have in this country. So South Africa pays out around 18 million social grants per month. And the majority of those grants, I think about 70%, are child support grants. And these grants are valued at 460 Rand per month. Now, once again, that is far below the food poverty line. And the Department of Social Development now wants to implement, or is proposing that the government implements, a more permanent basic income grant. Now, this is all well and good if you are a very rich, prosperous country with a sustainable growth rate and a huge tax base. But that's not what South Africa is. South Africa is a country that is seeing huge amounts of investment leaving our borders. We haven't seen economic growth above 2% in years. And we've also seen our tax base shrinking significantly over the last few years. So the state fiscus is empty, there's no more money, and to simply expand the welfare system is just simply not an option anymore for South Africa. What we need to do is to create jobs. And the only way to do that is to get economic growth back up and running again. Unfortunately, South Africa has become a country where instead of creating opportunities, we are just redistributing what is left. And since 2010, we've actually seen the number of social grants being paid out exceed the number of jobs. And since 2010, that trend has been sustained up until now. So unless we're able to reverse that, we're just going to see South Africa go deeper into a debt crisis, and South African households continue to dig deeper into their pockets to make it to the end of the month.
And finally, what are some of the solutions that could potentially reverse these trends?
The problem with that we have here in South Africa is the government has implemented a range of anti-poor policies. For example, we have the national minimum wage, which is very high and is essentially pricing people out of work, making labor more expensive and making employers less likely to employ more workers. So we really need to get rid of that high level of the national minimum wage in order to make a significant dent in the high unemployment that we see in South Africa. Another big problem is that the government loves to legislate, and we do sit with a huge government red tape problem in this country, which is really, really hurting, especially small and medium enterprises. It's really making it difficult for them to keep their doors open until the end of the month. And South Africa is actually one of the countries where it takes the longest to open up a business. And we're also one of the countries in the world with a very high business failure rate. And that's because of the high number of rules and regulations that business owners have to follow in order to operate. Another problem is that we sit with a very, very defunct education system, which is performing quite poorly, and it's really hampering our youth from going out there and getting sustainable jobs, high earning jobs. And unfortunately, the government has actually no plan in really improving our education system. So unless we're able to make significant inroads in all of these points that I just mentioned, we're going to see South African households continue to suffer and continue getting poorer over the medium term.
Thank you, Gerrie. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and also let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.